What is up, my friends? My name is Mackenzie, and this is episode 2 out of 4 in my Watch Me Practice Redesign series. So if you happen to miss part 1, check the description below. There's a link in there where you can go watch that. So basically, a real quick recap of what I did last week is I went through and set up this document, and I planned out this whole project. So I talked about the goals as well as the vibes and emotions that I want to achieve in this design, as well as I went through the various pages that we're going to need in this design that I'm going to need to create in Sketch. And then I also went through and added the content that I need on each page. So basically what we're going to do today is hop into Sketch and create a design for the home page, an individual live stream page, all live stream pages, and then, or the view all live stream page, and then also a schedule modal. So basically if you click the schedule, a little modal window would pop up just saying like the title, subtitle, and then just listing out a few of the upcoming live streams. All right, so what I have here is I created a new document in Sketch. And I already gone through and picked some colors that we're going to be using for this project, as well as the fonts. So just real quick, these are the colors that I chose right here. So the reason I went with these is because if we go back to the paper, the document, one of the things that I wanted to try to do was create a dark theme. So if we go back here, these are the colors I was going to use for that dark theme for the background. And then I also went through and chose a color for the headlines, as well as a highlight color to use for calls to action and such. And then for the fonts, I went ahead and chose Lust Display Font. Lust is a really beautiful script font. And if we go back to the vibes and emotions that I wanted to achieve in this, I wanted something sleek, professional, and elegant. And I think this font works very, very well to achieve all of those things. This will only be used for headlines, however, because if I try to use it for any body copy, it would just become a jumbled mess. Like this font is beautiful, but it really shouldn't be used for body copy. And then in combination with this, I went ahead and chose Proxima Nova for the rest of the copy. So any body paragraphs, any navigation links, or any of that sort of stuff, basically anything that's not a headline, I'll be using Proxima Nova. So let's just dive in and get started. So if we remember the little sketch I created, it's a basic 2-column is what I wanted to go for. And if we go back to the document, on the home page, I need to have navigation. I want to have the next live stream, also a title, subtitle, and a video. All 3 of those will just be explaining what Watch Me Practice is. I also want a call to action to sign up for my YouTube channel, as well as I want to show past live streams in the second column. And then I want a footer with just some basic links to my Twitter and YouTube and Instagram and Dribble and such. So the first thing I want to do is just hit U to bring up the shape tool. And I'm just going to create a very, very simple background shape. So let's go to the sidebar, remove the radius and the border. And for this, I'm going to select the darkest color, which is hex code 26272C for the background. And then I'll just grab that shape. I'm going to hit Command R and rename this to background, and then hit Command Shift L to lock that layer. So if you go and select the artboard and then go into the sidebar, you can see that the artboard is 1440 pixels wide by 1024. So that's just the desktop HD artboard. If you hit A, you get a bunch of predefined artboards that you can pick from. I usually just go with the desktop HD, and that works pretty well for the projects I'm doing. So what I need to do is, let's hit U again to make a simple shape. Just drag out whatever, and then go into the width, and let's make this 1300 pixels wide. and then we'll go up here and center it. So I want it almost 13, or I want it almost full width, but not quite. And then we're gonna max out these columns at 1300 pixels. So what I want to do is just use this to create a basic 2-column grid like we had in our very simple wireframe. So this is 1300 pixels wide. So I'm going to go up to the ruler. If you don't have that, you can just toggle Command R to turn that on and off. So let's put a point right there, put a point right there, and then 1440 divided by 2 would be 720. So let's go to 720 and put a point right in the middle. Now if I grab that shape, I can delete it, and we have a very basic 2-column grid to work off of. So the next thing I want to do is create the navigation. So let's just hit the T for the type tool and start creating that. So I want a link for the home. Let's put some space here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is probably good. Live streams as well. And then what I'll do is I'll copy the past one and the spaces, and then just Command V. We want one for the schedule, Command V. Remember, one of my goals was to get people to subscribe to my YouTube channel. So I actually want to add a link to that. Subscribe on YouTube. I want to add a link to that in the header. And then one last one, I want to promote my course. So I'm going to add a link to Learn Design. Perfect. All right, so these are a bit dark right now, and they are pretty large. So let's go and make it like maybe 13 pixels. Let's change the color to this light gray. That way there's enough contrast to be able to read it. And then also, I don't want it to be the regular. Let's go ahead and make it a bold font. As well, let's go to the options and do text, transform, uppercase. Actually, I'm not loving the uppercase, so let's just keep it like this for now. That looks pretty good. All right, and then let's make some space on top. So I'm gonna make a simple shape again. Let's make it maybe like 70 pixels, just padding on the top. Let's do 70 pixels by 70 pixels. Whoops, there we go. And I'm just gonna create a guide for this as well. There we go. Now we have something to align our header on. So let's see. The next thing I want to do is I also want to put a little bit more emphasis on the subscribe link. So I'm going to create a basic shape to underline this. Let's make it like this slightly lighter gray color. And let's add some space in between that. Like so. All right, so that looks pretty good. The next thing, if we go back to our document, was, so we have the navigation. I want a the next live stream is on such and such date. So I was thinking that could be on the opposite side of the navigation. So what I'll do is just copy this text over here. Let's align it to the right, and I'm gonna say next live stream will be, and then let's break to the next line. Let's just say Wednesday, March 29th, as of this recording is when the next one is, at 7 p.m. At 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Cool, and let's just align that like so. And you know what I'm actually thinking is, I think I want a grid like this, and then I also want to center this a bit so it's visually centered with the next live stream. So if we just move it down like a pixel or so, that looks pretty good. Cool. And then I'm actually gonna delete that one. I'm just gonna grab it in the sidebar and bring it up and delete it. Perfect. Cool, so let's add some copy and stuff for, let's work on the first column. So what I was thinking is, let's just grab this text over here, watch me practice. For the size, I think this should be a little bit bigger. It's currently 30 pixels right now. Maybe let's go up to 45 looks good. And then I want to select this light purplish color. So the reason I went with this color is because pure white, hex code FFF is a bit too much. It was too much contrast. And I did go ahead and choose a like pastel purpley color for the highlight. So for the titles, for the headlines, I went ahead and added in a purple hue so that everything is a bit more cohesive. So the hex code on this is D2, D2, E5. So that looks pretty good. Let's just put that right there for now. And then let's grab this copy as well. Let's just duplicate that. That looks pretty good. Let's make this that light gray color as well. And I'm just gonna write up a quick description, twice a week live stream by Mackenzie Child. And in parentheses, I'll say, that's me, where I work on illustrations and UI design stuff. You'll see me illustrating my cat a lot too. All right, and then I'm gonna go to the sidebar and let's make this a fixed width. There we go, that looks pretty good. So it's currently 18 right now. The line height is set to 22 by default. I think I wanna bump that up to, let me see, maybe 30. That looks pretty good. That way you can just breathe a bit more. Cool, so below that, in my little wireframe, I had a video. So let me pull that up. All right, so for that little video, I created this little video right here. Hello and welcome to Watch Me Practice. Basically, I just say hello, welcome, this is what Watch Me Practice is all about, blah, 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 this is when I do it, that sort of thing. So let me go grab this. I took a screenshot of it right here, which we will use just for the just to represent the video. So one thing I want to do is add some padding in between these columns. So let's see. Let's make a shape from the center point, and maybe let's make it like 100. Maybe like 150. That way there's like 75 pixels of width on either side. And then let's go ahead and create two new guides like that and like that. Cool. This makes it not so claustrophobic. And then we will just shuffle things around so it matches that column setup. I might tweak this later just because I don't like that little widow, the comma 2 at the end. So I might edit that copy. We'll see. So a few things I want to do. I want to give this design a lot of depth. So for that, I want to use some shadows. But also I thought it'd be cool in the background to give it some depth as well. So I was thinking I could have a gradient with light pointing down. That way the shadows on the other objects make a bit more sense. So I'm going to unlock that layer. Let's go to the fill and select the radial gradient. All right, so what I want to do from here, let's just select that lighter gray color, and then select this point, and we'll select that dark gray color. I think I did that wrong. Yeah. So let's select this one again, and then up top, that lighter gray color. So I don't want this very drastic at all. I just want it to look like there's some light coming down from the top. So let's go ahead and lock that shape. Cool. So now let's go to this. First thing I want to do is add a shadow to it. So let's go and make it like maybe 10 pixels on the y-axis. Blur, let's maybe make it like 20. And then let's drop the opacity a bit. Maybe like 25%. Zoom out. That looks pretty good. So for shadows, I really don't like to do anything super harsh. I want it to look somewhat realistic. So I think having the light pointing down in the background and then having the shadows underneath the objects that are popping out gives it some depth and just adds a little bit of cool factor to this design. And then let's go up to the shapes and select the triangle shape. And then just like that, I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. And this just to represent a little play button. So I'm actually just going to embed the YouTube video here, so this will look a bit different, but just so we know what it is, let's add a little YouTube video. And then I'm going to go in here and select these anchor points, and let's add some rounded corners, maybe like 3 pixels. Perfect. Cool, that's looking good. All right, so below that, in my mock-up, I thought I would have the call to action to sign up for my YouTube channel. So what I'm going to do is just copy the title, subtitle. So that's a bit too large, 45. So let's go ahead and make it like 25. And then this would be like a H2 tag. And then the copy, let's keep it the same size actually. So I'm just going to change this to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And then let's hit escape to get out of that. And then I'll say like join 44,000 plus people who are already in my YouTube family. I also want to describe like when I do things. So I create new videos every Monday and Friday, and of course live stream every Wednesday and Saturday. Cool. And then below that, I want to add a link to actually subscribe. So I recently found this awesome plugin called Dynamic Symbol Button. So what I'm going to do is create a symbol. So how this works is you enter in the padding, and then you can style it however you'd like, and then you can enter it in any text, and then you hit Option Command J, and it formats to the width of that text by using that padding, which is a lot better than like creating just a shape and putting text on top, because then you're like fiddling with it and it's never perfect. This is just much easier. So on the left, let's do 40 pixels. On the right, 40. On top, let's do 15, and bottom 15. So this will create a new symbol up top. I'm just going to call this BTN for button. And then if we go over here to the symbols page, you can see this is what we got. So let's style this a bit. For the fill, let's create this lighter gray color, or this slightly lighter gray color. I also want to add some border radius. Let's do 3 pixels. And then the font, I'm going to select that. Let's change it to the Proxima Nova. I also want it to not be regular. Let's do the bold font. Let's change the color to white. And the size, I think 12 is pretty good there. Actually, no, I think the other one was 13 for the navigation, so let's use 13 pixels. Cool. So from here, let's go back to page 1. What you do is you go to Insert, Symbols, and then there's a symbol right there. I'm just going to drag that, pop it in. And then in the sidebar, there's an Overrides panel. So I'm going to say Subscribe. Hit enter, and then you can see that was dynamically added here. And then from here, all I have to do is hit Command-Shift-J, or go up into the plugins and then resize symbol. And then it automatically scales based on the size of that text, which is fantastic. Cool, so I'm gonna go to this image. I'm gonna hit Command-Shift-C to copy the properties, and then select that button, Command-Shift-V. So what that does is it's copying over the shadow that was on that image, so we can use the same shadow for the button. Cool, and let's move it down a little bit. And actually I'm gonna open up this whole artboard and move things down a little bit. And let's adjust the background as well. Cool, we'll probably bring that back up in a little bit. All right, so let's select that background layer. Let's lock that. Cool, so this is looking pretty good. I do want to grab, whoops, let's go in here. I do want to grab all of this and just add some more. All right, let's lock that background layer. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna grab all of this. I just want to have visually like the same, whoops, let's grab that button too. The same amount of padding on top and bottom for the video. I may end up tweaking this because actually, let's tweak that now. Let's go 1, 2, and then we'll grab this content, 1, 2. And I see that I locked that button, so that needs to be adjusted too. There we go, that looks a bit better. Cool, so now let's work on the recent live streams. So for this, I can just copy what I did on the call to action. Let's line it up with the Watch Me Practice title. And I will say recent live streams. So for here, let's just play around. I'm not exactly sure how I want to do it. I do know I want each one to be like in a little card, and I want that card to not have a border. Let's change the color to like that lighter gray. Whoops, that's the copy color. There we go, this color right here. And then let's do Option Command C on the image, Option Command V on this, which copies over that shadow. It did unfortunately remove our fills, so let's add that back in. Beautiful. So I think having that light coming from up top and then having everything pop out a little bit, the shadows really make sense here, and it gives the page some depth, which I really like. Cool, and let's just adjust these a little bit. So if we go back to our document, I know I wanted on the live stream content, I wanted the number, so saying like, I think I'm up to 12 live streams so far. I want to show that number. I want to show the date. I want to show the excerpt, and I also want to show a thumbnail. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this image for the thumbnail for now. Let's scale it down quite a bit, holding Shift while I do that, and then move it up in the layers panel. So let's grab this, and we can use this for the date. Move everything up. And actually this is actually getting pretty messy. So I'm going to grab all these layers in the header. I'm going to hit Command G to group them, Command R to rename it, and I'll just say header. This one I'll say is the title. This one, Command R, subtitle. This one will be the video. Command R, video. This will be subscribe CTA, and then I'll grab all of this stuff and group it and rename it as column number 1. So from here, let's change this. Let's think in terms of hierarchy. So I want to show the number, the date, as well as an excerpt and a thumbnail. So in terms of the date, let's maybe put that up top. Let's do like March 25th, 2017. And then maybe let's make that like a whitish color, or maybe that like pastel purpley color. Let's also copy this paragraph and bring it over here. And what I'll do actually is I'll just go to hipsum.co, and I'm just going to grab some filler text. And paste that in. Ooh, Let's get that Proxima Nova. Let's make it regular. Make sure it's good size, and we'll change the color to that light gray color. Perfect. So that is way too small. So let's do like maybe 16 looks pretty good. The line height does not look good though. So let's see, 16 times 1.5 would be 24. So let's try that for the line height. 1.5, a multiple of 1.5 for the line height usually works pretty well. I usually try to stick between 1.5 to 2. Sometimes I go closer to 2. Sometimes I just stick with 1.5, and it works out pretty well. So we could do something like this. And then what if we drug this out? This actually still has some depth, which is kind of cool. So it's kind of like layered. I kind of like that. So let's make sure these are centered, which they are. And I think I want this to have a rounded corner. So what I'm going to do is hit U. Let's create a shape that's the same size. Get rid of the border. And 3 pixel border radius is good. Let's send that behind it and select both of those layers. And then go down to mask. And then what that does is it basically cuts off the corners, so it gives us that nice rounded effect. However, we lost the shadow doing that. So what I'm going to do is Command C on this shape. Let's grab that folder and add a shadow there. Beautiful. Now it has some nice depth to it. So let's get rid of some of this because I would probably want to get it cut off a little bit. Maybe something like that. What if this was uppercase, just to put a little bit more emphasis on it? That looks pretty good. Then let's center these like so. This seems a little high, so let's bring everything in a little bit. Cool. That looks pretty good. So remember what I mocked up right here if you watched last episode. So I did kind of like break it off a little bit, and then I said the number over on this side could be cool. So I was thinking maybe that number could be like big and bold. So what if I used this heading, and I'll just say like 12, and let's justify that to the right. And then let's bump up the size quite a bit, maybe 75 pixels. And let's change the color to like a lighter gray. So the light gray that I'm using for the box doesn't quite work. So let's make it a little bit lighter. Something like that looks pretty good. So hex code 3E424E. And then let's make it so it's like getting slightly cut off. Something like that looks pretty cool. So I'm going to group all of this, and I'll call this Livestream. And then I just want a few of them. So let's line it up on that. Go 1, holding shift, 2, 3, 4. I'll change this to 11. And then I'm just going to leave everything else the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll do it once more. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that was too many. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. And then let's also get this button. And I want to link to, let's change this from subscribe to view all live streams. Hit enter, and then hit Option Command J to update the size. Man, I love that plugin. Cool. This is looking pretty good. Let's just view it. I'm liking this. So I kind of think the sizing doesn't make sense. I want the first column to be a bit more than the second column. So what if let's see, I had 75 pixels on either side. What if I added 25 pixels to this column and then removed that from the second column? So I'll do simple shape. Let's just make it 25 by 25. There we go, and let's add that like so. Cool, so I'm gonna select these ones. Let's drag that to the edge. Oh, whoops. So this one would actually be on this side. And then this stuff, I believe we could just scale out. Does it stretch it? It stretches it. So let's hold shift and then just drag everything out a little bit. And let's go ahead and group these again. Column number 1. There we go, that's looking pretty good. So I thought it'd be cool to add some accents of the highlight color in this design. So what I was thinking is up top, it'd be kind of cool if the body had a border on top and bottom. Let's make it maybe like just 8 pixels, get rid of that radius, get rid of the border, and let's make it that highlight color, just to like make it so that this whole design isn't like too dark. And then we can do the same thing down low. And then what if we also accentuated this title? So let's do something like this. Let's make it maybe 60 pixels high. And let's center it like that. Let's go ahead and select these 2 anchor points and change the corner to 0. That way it looks like it's popping out a little bit. And let's change this, remove the border and add it as the highlight color. Let's see how that looks. That looks pretty good. I kind of like that. It kind of just like draws your eye a bit more to the title. And then from there you would just go down and read all the things. Cool, so I think from here, let's get out of full screen. The last thing we need is the footer. So I can basically just copy what I did in the header. Let's go down here, paste that in. And then I just want to say, let's do Option G to do the copyright symbol. 2017 Mackenzie Child. Let's give some space. And then I'll say Twitter, 1, 2, 3, whoops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. YouTube. Let's just copy this. I can make this one dribble. And then this last one, Instagram. Sweet, this looks pretty good to me. So let's go ahead and move on to the next page. Well, first let's group all of these and call this column 2. Let's select these highlight shapes, group those, and call those highlights. And then we'll call this one footer. And just let me rearrange it in the layers panel real quick. There we go, that looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is just copy this whole artboard, holding Shift and Option as I drag down. So the next page we need to do would be the actual, the individual live stream page. So this I don't think would change too much. So what I was thinking here is because the content, it would have some content, I was thinking moving the subscribe up top to the second column, and then just having everything be in this column like this. So 0, 1, 2 for the number. And then actually let's get rid of this description altogether. Let's actually lock the highlights because I am accidentally grabbing those. Let's move this video up because I want it to be the title and then the video. If we go back to the page, the individual page, I need navigation, next live stream, which we already have, the title, date, video, content, recent live streams, subscribe link, and footer. So I can just, let's see, let's ungroup this. So these recent live streams, we can just move everything down a bit. And then we'll move this subscribe block up top and just make sure it's all lined up like so. And then we just need to adjust this a little bit because it's different size. And we can move these down. Beautiful. And let's just delete that button. And actually, it's covering the highlights. So let's go ahead and move that highlights group up top so it's above everything, like that. Beautiful. And then below that, I was just thinking of having some content. This would be like anything I write up or images I add. So one of the things I actually do is use PNGs a bit. That's what I started using a lot on the old site. So what I was thinking is any image, maybe I could add a white background and then also the shadow to it as well. Not sure what I just did there. Let me grab the shadow from here, like so. Let's add back that fill. And then the border radius is 3, that looks good. Cool, so let's go back to hipsum.co. Let's just get some filler text. And let's go here. Let's extend this artboard down a bit. So we'll unlock everything, that way we can work in here. So let's grab this background shape, move it down, lock that again. This shape, I'm just going to select that and drag it down. Same with the footer. And actually I deleted that view all live streams, so let's copy that from the other artboard, put that back, perfect. And make sure that image fits in there. So I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna take a screenshot of like one of the Chico characters. That way I have something to use. And I'm just gonna go ahead and drop that in. There we go. So that's what any image would look like. And yeah, I kind of think that's all we need to do for this page. So let's go ahead and fix all this stuff that I messed up. So this can be dragged. Let's see. Let's drag this back up. Let's ungroup it because I need to select that bottom shape. There we go. And I'll just grab this artboard and bring it back up like so. Beautiful. So this page is pretty much done. Don't really have anything more I need to do here. So the last one would be the view all live streams. So I was thinking this would be pretty similar. Dive in here. Let's take this out for now. This would be all live streams. Let's get rid of all this content. We don't need the recent live streams. So for this, I was just thinking it would be a 2-column. Something like this, and then that. And then we don't need this view all. And then really, let's see, maybe let's make this a little bit closer. Really, let's just copy these a couple times. Cool. And then let's copy a few more, just to show like there's a lot. And then I could go in and change each number and each image, but I don't think that's really necessary to do. So yeah, that's all I was thinking for the live streams page. Actually, one thing I do want is, let's delete a few of these. I just want to add in this subscribe to my YouTube channel, CalltoAction. And I was thinking it would just be like the 1 column, like before, after all the live streams are listed out. And then let's drag the footer back up, drag the highlight back up, and we'll just call, I think I need to rename these. So I'm going to select this. This would be all live streams. This one was the individual live stream. Perfect. Cool. And then the last thing, if I just copy that home page again. Actually, what I want to do on this is I'm going to go in here and delete everything. So I'm going to select all this content. A cool trick that you can use for this, if I go in the sidebar and just click and drag from the title of this artboard into this artboard, it creates a little PNG of that. So now I have everything as one, and I can just lock this layer. That way I don't have like a million shapes copied unnecessarily. And then here I just want to create that little modal. So let's select that dark gray color and drop the opacity maybe to like 60% or so. So what we can do for the modal, let's just create a little shape like this, and then we'll go up to the sidebar, center and center. So let's get rid of the fill. Maybe let's make this the accent color. Yeah. And then I'm gonna select that shadow, paste that in. Whoops, need to add that fill back in, like so. That way the modal has a little bit of that shadow. Cool, and then I'm just gonna go in and copy the title and subtitle so we have the same stuff to work with. So this would say subscribe. And actually this could be like the same size as the main one. So let's do that 45 pixels. The color looks awful, like that light gray. So what if we did like a full white here? I mean, that looks fine to me. This copy color that we were using doesn't really work super well. So I was thinking maybe for this we could use the darker color. Maybe even the darkest color. I think the darkest, the contrast there is pretty good. So what I'll say is live streams are scheduled for every Wednesday, and Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and Saturday at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Though I may throw in some extra times just for funsies. Is that a smiley face? And then here, let's call out the actual time. So I'm just going to make these bold. And then Saturday, let's do the same. Let's make that bold font. And then from here, I just want to really just show the upcoming live stream dates. So maybe I could say like upcoming, and this could be maybe a bit smaller, maybe like 16, and we'll make it bold, just for like a little subhead. And then maybe I could do something like Wednesday, March 29th, 2017. So have the date on this side. And then I could, let's make that auto. And maybe this should be a bold font. And let's change the color to like white, just to differentiate it. And I don't think it should be as big. So let's maybe drop it down to like 16 to match. That looks pretty good. All right, and then on this side, we will do the 7 p.m. Mountain Standard, if I could spell Standard Time. Cool, and let's justify that to the right. And let's select all these and, whoops, and pull it over just a little bit. That looks pretty good. I do want some like visual separation between these, so let's create a simple line just to separate them. And for some reason, that is not showing up. That's behind that shape, I think. There we go. Okay, so let's make it that color, but just ever so slightly lighter. Something like that looks pretty good. And let's zoom in and just make sure it's like all lined up good. Cool, and let's select that line and just move it down like so. And we can select these. 1, 2, that looks about even. And then I'm gonna copy, whoops, I need to lock that back layer. There we go. I'm gonna lock this modal layer too, actually. And then I'll just duplicate it. I was thinking maybe like 4 upcoming would be plenty. There, that looks pretty good. So this one would be Saturday. I don't know the date, so I'm just gonna leave it the same. And then Wednesday, and then this one would be Saturday. And let's unlock this layer and just move it up. Oh, whoops, it is locked in the size. So I don't want it to be a perfect square. So let's move it up like so. Cool. I mean, this looks pretty good. So let's just go through what we made real quick. So up top we have the home page, we have the navigation, the upcoming live stream. We have a clear visual hierarchy with the title, subtitle, and then a video. Below that video is a call to action to sign up for my YouTube channel. And then on this side, we're going to list out the various, or the most recent live streams. And each live stream is going to have a date, an excerpt, a number, and then a thumbnail, which we're going to be setting up in the Webflow CMS. And then below all that, we have the footer, and of course we have the 2 little highlights just to pop in some color. I really do love the highlight by the title, just because it like kind of draws your eye there, and it's like, boom, this is where you should look first. Then the actual live stream, it's got the main content on column 1, column 2, it's a subscribe, and then the most recent live streams. The all live streams page is pretty simple. It's just 2 column, and they're just going to be floated either side. And then after all of them are listed out, there's another call to action to sign up for my sign up for my YouTube channel. And then if you hit the schedule in the navigation, this would slide down and show you, talk about when the live streams are scheduled, and then show you the dates for the upcoming ones. All right, well, this is a good place to stop. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something from it. But yeah, in the next one, we're going to be building this in Webflow, so be sure not to miss that. And yeah, until next time, my friends, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.